The iPhone 16 is finally here. This is it. But is it actually that much of an upgrade from the iPhone 15? Apple's event just wrapped up, and while I'm still sort of digging through all the details, let me break down in this video the top 5 things you need to know about the all-new iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus. Let's talk about new cameras, colors, design changes, new buttons, and answer the big question, is it actually worth upgrading your current iPhone or Android phone to the new iPhone 16? Honestly, I've thought about this a lot, and the answer is kind of surprising. Let's talk about it. Okay, so I should start by saying that when we sort of have followed all the rumors for this phone over the last couple of months or so, we weren't really anticipating anything major. Most of the big upgrades were reserved for the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, and the 16 and 16 Plus, sort of the regular phones, are essentially what we expected all along. For better or worse, this is another year of Apple sort of refining their iPhone strategy. There are no major design changes here. There is no revolutionary new technology. This is the same USB-C port. It's basically the same design we've had for the last couple of years, with some minor exceptions, of course. And yeah, this is a refined version of the iPhone 15, which was a refined version of the 14, the 13, the 12. You sort of get the idea. This is sort of an S year if we go back to that old illustration. If we're waiting for something huge and monumental, this is not the year for that. This is a refinement, for better or for worse. The big story with the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus is that it is basically a better version of what we've had before. And like I mentioned, not a lot has changed here with the exception of a couple of big things. First things you'll notice right off the bat will be some design changes. So the camera is now in a vertical orientation, a little bit of a smaller camera module there as to compared to what we had before. We've also got some new colors on the outside of the phone as well that it's sort of hard to see and sort of judge from press images, but they do appear to be a bit more vibrant and colorful than what we've had on the iPhone 15 and other sort of regular iPhones in years past. We've got a couple of new colors here. I think this is called Ultramarine, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. There's a beautiful teal color, pink, white, and black to choose from as well. Definitely Apple has sort of tuned their colors a little bit this year that, these do look like really vibrant new colors for the entire iPhone 16 lineup. And also there are a couple of new buttons on the side of the phone as well that I'll come back to more in just a moment. Basically everything with the 16 and 16 Plus did get like a little bit better. Like there were some minor upgrades to almost everything across the board, but nothing substantial. If you're wondering, this is still a 60 Hz OLED display. So it's a great display, but the 120 Hz ProMotion is still not here. It still has the other sort of limitations that have sort of been with the regular non-Pro phones for a while now. But there are a couple upgrades here you should know about. Like I mentioned, we do have a vertical stack camera orientation here on the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus, and while there are not any major camera upgrades, there are again a couple of small things here you should know about. Apple is really sort of showing off this fusion camera system that basically emulates 4 different focal lengths in your pocket. We've sort of seen this before. There are, again, some slight tweaks here with like tech specs. You can check out the Apple website for more, but essentially it's mainly the same camera we've had before with some minor tweaks. Speaking of camera, let's talk about the buttons on every iPhone to control those cameras. The first button is the action button. Now, this is nothing new. We had this on the iPhone 15 Pro series last year. It's now expanded to every iPhone 16 in the lineup. And yeah, it's a customizable button that lets you sort of jump into different things and you can run shortcuts or use it to turn on your flashlight or make a phone call or do different things. It's nice. I'm not sure after a year with the action button on my 15 Pro that I'm all that sold on its utility enough that it should be on every single iPhone model, but I guess your mileage will vary with this. I mean, you can sort of like, set it up to do different things. And it is nice that Apple is giving us some degree of customization on our iPhones with like an actual hardware button. But this is going to get rid of the mute switch. If you were a fan of that, that is gone now. Everybody is all on an action button on all iPhone 16 models. And that, again, is going to be on both iPhone 16 models this year. Then, of course, there's the camera control button, which basically allows you to control different elements of the camera right from the side of the iPhone. You're able to sort of swipe back and forth and sort of use this as a Swiss Army knife for taking photos and videos. If you're super into taking photos on your phone and you just want an easier way to do it, I guess you'll like the camera control button right here on the 16 and 16 Plus. It'll also be able to tie in to a feature called visual intelligence, which basically utilizes Apple Intelligence that'll let you sort of hold your phone up, press this button, and then get information about what your phone sees, sort of bringing in the AI power to sort of the real world around you. Of course, powering everything in here is the new A18 processor, which Apple says, and they stressed a lot, was built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence, and they stressed sort of its better performance and speed and stuff like that, though you have to remember that we were 2 generations behind with the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, and also, really, modern iPhones don't ever get slow, so take this with a grain of salt. Yes, nice to see this sort of powering Apple Intelligence, but iPhones have been fast forever now, so just keep that in mind when you look at all the marketing materials. Of course, we also got a lot of updates under the hood for better battery life, better efficiency, better processor, for performance and all that stuff. But really the big thing here is that the silicon is driving Apple Intelligence. Of course, that's like the big feature set here with the iPhone 16, all the new smarts that your iPhone can do and all the things it can do for you, and having access to all the silicon to do all this stuff for you is gonna be great. Apple Intelligence is sort of yet to be seen its effectiveness because we haven't really gotten to try it yet, so it'll be interesting to sort of try it out as it rolls out. But if you're someone super interested in this and you want to see how this is going to work, you don't have to get a Pro phone to try a full-fledged Apple Intelligence experience. So that will be here on the 16 and 16 Plus. Pricing remains unchanged. iPhone 16, $799, 16 Plus, $899, and 128 gigabytes of base storage for both models. Okay, so now that you know what is new with the iPhone 16, we've got to talk about some questions that need answered, like, is this really worth the upgrade? And this is where things are going to get a little controversial. I think how we used to answer this question was always looking at what was sort of coming next, and Apple used to be a lot more predictable. When we had the S series and the non-S series, you always would know that every other year was going to be a major iPhone upgrade. Then it sort of turned into every 3 years, and now basically every year, like I mentioned at the beginning, is a refinement. So you really aren't going to have like one huge standout feature for most people that would get you to sort of throw your wallet on the table and spend your money right now on the iPhone 16. But I think if you've got an older phone, it might be worth considering. I think if you've got a fairly modern iPhone, like an iPhone 15 or a 14 or even a 13, there's not a real compelling reason to upgrade. I guess if you were really in Apple Intelligence and you were all in on Apple's idea for this and you wanted to see how this magic was going to work, that might be the compelling reason, because no other phones besides the 16 series, I guess the 15 Pro to a certain extent, but really if you wanted to get a new phone, this would be the way to go for that route. But besides that, we didn't see any monumental shifts in camera technology. We didn't get some crazy improvement with 120 hertz on the screen. All that stuff just isn't here. So there's not a huge feature to get you to jump ship if you've got an iPhone that's still working fine. In fact, if you do a little comparison here between the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus and the 16 and 16 Plus, these phones are very, very similar. Like I said, there were minor upgrades across the board and some differences in color and, processor and stuff like that. But by and large, these are very similar phones, which is typically the reason why Apple doesn't sell the previous generation when the similarities between the two models are so close. But with that said, I definitely think there still is a market for those who want the iPhone 16. I think that one of the things to remember is that someone's always upgrading their phone, and maybe you've got an older Android phone or you're looking to get to the right side of the tech world, all jokes aside, leaving Android, or you've got an iPhone 12 or 11 or 10s or an older phone, you're gonna see some significant upgrades here if you've got a phone like 4-ish years old. You are gonna get a really great 48 megapixel main camera that's gonna take great photos and videos. You're getting a beautiful OLED display, and you've got two options, a little bit of a smaller screen or a larger screen, depending on your preference in terms of phone screen size. Great speakers, you've got USB-C built in there, you've got the fast processor, a new fresh battery. I mean, all around, this is a really great phone to pick up, and I think it is a solid upgrade. I just don't think that many people need to jump ship if you've got a newer phone. There is maybe a case to be made on the Pro side that if you want some of the Pro features and stuff like that, you could sort of make the case that it's worth justifying that upgrade. But for the regular 16 and 16 Plus, not saying they're bad phones, not gonna say they're boring or anything like that, but I am going to say that if you've got a somewhat modern phone, I don't see a huge appeal and reason to upgrade, but if you've got an older iPhone or Android phone kicking around and you've got an itch for a new battery and better camera and stuff like that, iPhone 16 and 16 Plus are gonna be really solid options to go with. All right, and now it is your turn, folks. What are your thoughts on Apple's big September 9th event? iPhone 16 and 16 Plus, are you in or are you out? Are you upgrading or are you not? If you are upgrading, or even if you're not, tell me what phone you've got right now and why you're making that decision. And do you think Apple did enough this year? Do you think the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus are as exciting as they could be, or did Apple miss the mark this year? Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for your support. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle, and I'll see you all in the next one.